pelvic floors. Everyone's got one, regardless of what parts you have, and it's really important to keep it healthy. It's what helps you go to the bathroom, or more importantly, not, and it's also a big part of sexual function. So if you have a yoga block, grab it. It's like the one tool I really recommend people have. You can get one pretty inexpensively, and you keep it around for a while, not contributing to waste. If you don't have one, blanket towel, fold up, nice and tight. You can see how this takes the place of a yoga block. Now, the only thing with blanket towel, you're not gonna get quite the intensity in some of these stretches, but if you're new to it anyways, it might be a really lovely place to start. And the other tool you're gonna wanna have is easy access to a wall. A lot of what we're going to be doing is at the wall, but we'll get started on our backs, getting comfortable. So for some folks, that might mean knees bent or legs long. And you'll notice knees bent just puts the lower back to the mat a little bit more. Legs long gives you that little arc in the lower back. But this is our little beginning check-in with our body. We want to feel our feet, our hands against the mat, our backs against the mat. A very large part of the body work that we do is just heightening awareness of our own bodies. There's so many things catching our attention, so we reconnect. And sometimes reconnecting with our bodies is just going to be really pivotal in holding better posture, in feeling better in our bodies, and making sure we engage muscles that stabilize. So a few moments to connect. And then if your knees aren't already bent, go ahead and bend them. And we'll practice just a little diaphragmatic breathing. That's when you inhale so deeply, you actually feel your belly expand. And then you exhale, engage the core. You would naturally engage the core on an exhale. Now we just heighten that a little bit. We might feel our back spread out more against the mat. Big inhale. We are actually strengthening our diaphragm, these muscles that help us breathe. It's another great way to just connect with the body. So one last one. And we'll take some windshield wipers. Now I like to bring my feet mat distance apart. You might say, no, I'm gonna do hip distance apart. But this is really just to loosen us up in our hips, right? When we have good range of motion in the joints we're going to be working on, we're going to do these poses more effectively. So now we're good and rinsed. We'll bring our feet still, give our knees a little hug into our chest. I like to make small circles with the knees, get a little lower back massage, go in both directions. And we're just warming up our spine for our practice. So we'll set our knees off to the right, maybe a little opening of the arms, get the shoulders and neck involved in the stretch with a look to the left. Same idea, just warming up our spine, our lower backs, to make the poses we take more effective. And then we'll bring our head up, our knees to our chest, give ourselves a little hug and squeeze, a little rinse and rock. And set our knees to the left. Open up. If it feels good to open up the arms, I do like bringing my shoulders down. Get a little stretch in the upper body as well. You can look to the right if it's safe for your neck. And our head comes center. Our legs do the same. We tuck in, rock out, and we'll plant our feet. So a really common yoga exercise that is good for our pelvic floor. And I'm going to challenge you to breathe this way so we can find some of those connections, is the bridge pose. So we're going to inhale, fill up, that nice diaphragmic breath, and roll up on exhale. And the reason we're doing that is because we are engaging the core on the way up. So now we get our hips in line with the knees to the best of our ability, heels under our knees. And it's like we have an invisible yoga block between our knees. We're squeezing them together. Again, if you have a yoga block and you actually want to place it between your knees, awesome, but don't feel like you have to. And this is a fantastic shoulder stretch. You broaden your shoulders against the mat. You can kind of gently tuck your chin into the chest. You get some great flexion in the back of the neck. So we'll fill with breath, and then we'll exhale, roll our way down. Rinse things out with our windshield wipers, always resetting, refreshing the back. We'll plant our feet, same thing. We want to fill up and roll up on exhale. So we're coming up with a strong core, which is going to protect our back. This is all about strengthening the lower body while releasing the upper body. And again, like we have a block between our knees and we're squeezing it, but there is actual space. That's how we know we're sort of activating that space between. Your hands could be on the mat, or if you wanted to dial things up in the shoulders, you could interlace, walk them up underneath you, depending on what serves your body. But really try and focus on the strength of the lower body. And we will drop our hands, roll on down, give ourselves a nice windshield wiper break. We're going to take 3 of those. But before we go to our third, let's take a little refresh. Knees to chest, nice big squeeze, rocking out. And we're not completely warmed up, but see if you can't open your knees to the sides and start to find a happy baby. And if the hips are a bit tight, it can be smaller, it can be adjusted, it could be moving the legs. I'm just starting to get into the hips. We'll release our feet, plant the heels under the knees, fill with breath, and roll up on exhale. Squeeze the invisible block between our knees. Remember, hands could be planted, especially if this pose is new to you. Interlaced if you love the shoulder stretch. Or sometimes I like to then inhale my hands overhead, reach, and that feels pretty good in my shoulders, but everybody is different. All right, let's ground our hands to the mat, roll down, rinse things out. All right, so we're going to take, if you have a block, or if you're using a nice stiffly folded up towel, we're going to roll up like we're taking another bridge, but this time we're going to place that prop under the small of our back. It's that space between the hip bones, it's nice and flat. This is assisted bridge. It's a great pose for releasing. If you have tight hips, tight lower back, it's an awesome pose for you. But what we want to do is release our pelvic floor. So we're going to take our soles together, our knees apart. If, we started working our hips in happy baby, but if this is a bit intense, just walk your feet a little further from your body. Elongate that diamond shape. And this is pelvic floor strength and restore for a reason. Well, we want those muscles to support our bladder and the organs down below. It's a muscle group that's also prone to tension, right? When we are feeling nervous, when our nervous system is responding to stimulus, we aren't even realizing we're contracting down there. So release, just as important as strength. That's why we're doing a little of each. And this is one of my favorite ways to relax the pelvic floor. This assisted Supta Baddha Konasana. It's a beautiful place to focus on the breath, to exhale, and feel your body relax. Our exhales tell our nervous system that we're in a safe place, we can turn off, which will really help us open up into the pelvic floor. And then we'll guide our knees together. Shut our book. You want to be very mindful that the inner hip might be a little tender. It's a big stretch. We'll roll up, get rid of our prop, send our back to the mat, and just wash things away, our nice gentle windshield wipers. And then we'll head over to our wall. So you want to put a little distance between your seat and the wall. Your feet, heels once again in line with knees. We love that good alignment. And what we're going to do is pick up our hips, guide our knees together, and come on down. You don't have to fully set the seat down. We want a measure of engagement, guiding the knees together, lowering the hips, not setting the seat all the way down. Lift, squeeze, come on down. So this is especially great for folks who have had babies. Again, pelvic floor health is for everyone, regardless. But if you have experienced prolapse, these sorts of things, these are great poses to get rid of some of that heaviness. Squeeze the knees. Come on down. Lift up, big squeeze. Let's do one more. We'll lower, and we'll get into some of that good restorative stuff. So we'll take our right ankle, place it on our left knee. This is an assisted reclined pigeon, and I just adore this pose. You'll see it in yin classes. So you can open up the arms or let them relax. You'll feel some good release in the outside of the right hip, the right glute area. And once again, we can explore how a nice long exhale softens and releases our bodies. You know, we never want to hold a pose that isn't safe. But sometimes when we're very tight and we know we need to sit through that discomfort, breath is a really powerful tool for helping us relax, for allowing our muscles to open up. Because remember, your nervous system wants to resist things that are unfamiliar. When it senses danger or something new, it's going to tighten up. So we say, hey, we're okay with a long exhale. So let's unwind, and I know we're working with limited space. We might have to set ourselves back a little bit here, but we'll windshield wiper to release the stretch. Always resetting between poses. No gripping or holding. So then feet come back up. We're making those nice right angles, knee in line with ankle, and we're putting our left ankle on our right knee, and we might bring our hips just a little closer, getting the right amount of intensity in our left hip, our left seat. Hands can be down, out to the sides. And we're just sitting here, maybe focusing on lengthening out our exhales. If you're a very sensory person, you might be noticing how it feels to connect with the mat, at the back, at the arms. Throughout our days, we're constantly picking up sensory information, touch, smell, sight, hearing, whatever's available to you. And our nervous system is processing it and responding to it. So the awareness that we have of, hey, I might be tensing up and I don't even realize it, because my nervous system wants to take care of me. We're just always heightening our awareness here on the mat to build a better relationship with our bodies. And then we'll bring our foot down. And again, we might want to push back just a little so we have enough space to send our knees side to side, to rinse out any remnants of that stretch. So when we come into the next one, we're coming in fresh. All right. So once again, we're going to plant our feet. We might want to get a little closer to the mat. This time when we plant, and we still like our knees in line with our hips, but we're going to come up a little higher because we're going to come up with our lifted seat. And already you're going to be feeling, wow, I'm really engaged here in this pelvic floor area. All right, so we're holding our seat up and we're dropping our toes to the mat. And we bring the toes up and we do it on the opposite leg. Little taps. How does it feel? Getting strong? You know, if at any point you feel a level of exertion, it might sound counterintuitive, but sometimes it helps to exhale, to engage the core. Just don't forget to take inhales. The oxygen is going to nourish the muscles and make us stronger. So we're just tapping out our toes. All right. Let's do one more each side. Bring it to neutral, roll our hips down, bring the seat a little closer, open up the knees. It's a happy baby against the mat. Again, that feedback that turns off the pelvic floor. We strengthened it, we engaged with it, we connected with it, and now we learn to release it. Both have its benefits. And then we'll walk our feet back up. Really bring our seat in close, although you do want to leave just a little gap of space so we are not congested in our lower back. Heels to the mat, and this is our assisted legs up the wall. Tends to be a fan favorite in yoga classes. And these types of inversions are just amazing for our nervous system. Bringing our legs up against gravity, something we don't do often, really makes the heart have to work less hard. It's not pumping the blood quite as far. So when the heart gets a little break, it tells the lungs that they can sort of relax. So our heart's working more efficiently, our breath more efficiently, This signals to our nervous system, hey, everything's great, we're out of danger. Heart and lungs are taking it easy. So when the nervous system relaxes, the body goes with it. In these really quiet and release spaces where we're less reactive to stimulus, we can kind of reassess the things that do make our blood pressure rise. Yeah, feel a sense of calm, feel like we do have control over these seemingly natural reactions to the outside world. It can be a really empowering place to be. And just make sure your knees are soft, that they don't hyperextend against the wall. And then we'll walk our feet down, come off to the side. We're going to just get back on our mat. Take a couple of those windshield wipers, make sure everything is good and released. Now that we've gotten more spacious in our hips, let's take our knees to our chest, take a little rock on our lower back. Come in to our happy baby one more time. Really use the space. Feel our lower backs release against the mat. Let's release feet. Give the knees a squeeze. We're going to hold right leg here, extend left leg long. Now this is more for the psoas, but it'll help keep our hips healthy and happy. Our psoas plays a big role in our hips extension and flexibility, so we take good care of it. And then the left hand will take leg across the body. I like to reach my right for stability and to include my upper body in the stretch. You could look to the right. If it's within your body's flexibility, you could set your toes to the mat. Put your blanket, towel, block underneath your foot. Just a really big rinse in our lower backs. Let's take our head center, our leg back across, tuck our knee into our chest. Bring left up to meet it, get a little rock going on both. We'll extend right, give left that squeeze in where we really take some time here, again for our psoas. And then right hand takes leg across body, left reaches. This gives us a nice targeted rinse in our hip and our lower back, a little look to the left. If it feels good and safe in your neck. Doesn't work for every neck. You can always set your foot down either on the floor or on a prop itself if that works for your body. Let's bring our head center, our leg back across, give it a hug and a squeeze. Take right knee up to meet it, squeeze both in. Again, maybe making circles with our knees, massaging back against the mat. We'll come the opposite direction. Ball up really tight, give yourself a big squeeze, and we'll get back to where we started, either with feet on the mat or legs out long. But a moment to settle in and to once again connect with the body. You could go to, the very obvious points of awareness, where your feet, your legs, your seat, your back, your head, and arms connect to the mat. Notice the sensation. You might really feel the breath within body, those inflating inhales, and the contracting, core stabilizing exhales. Or maybe you direct a little focus to the hips, the pelvic floor, this part of the body that we've been working on. Seeing if you can't pick up on subtle or maybe not so subtle changes. Remember, the more aware of our body that we are, the more connected, the safer we're going to hold it in our day-to-day. The more in tune we're going to be with how outside stimulus might impact us, might cause contractions or reactions. So we're better able to put a little space between us and what we're feeling. All right, so give your toes and fingers a little wiggle. Maybe roll out the wrists and ankles. I always like to turn my head side to side. Take a nice big reaching stretch. And choose a side to roll onto. Taking just a little pause, nice easy transitions. We'll come up to seated. And I will say, as always, thank you so much for sharing your time and your space with me.